sitting in a room and releasing a player is like one of the hardest thing I did as a professional employee of Major League Baseball. Like, it is brutal, especially a good kid that you've just spent 2 years like working on the infield with, working in the cages with. It's difficult, man. Like, you're seeing their lives come to an end, essentially, man.
What's up, everyone? You're tuning into the Diamond Strong podcast. It's where you come feeling good and you leave feeling great. The action starts now.
Quick. So yeah, let's go all the way back because we're talking about Miami now, but let's talk about Miami when you were growing up in Miami. Like, what was your first love? Was your first love always baseball? Did you like doing other things, or was it like everybody else down there because we didn't have a choice?
Right. No, it was. I'm like the traditional baseball guy. I was born. My mom always says I was born with a baseball in my hand, and I played since I was 4 years old, all the way through, and like that was my life. I played, little league basketball, little league volleyball, tennis, things like that. But that was like side hustle.
Yeah.
Baseball was life all through my life.
Did you know from a very young age that it was like, oh, this is. You know what's funny, bro? I'm actually gonna ask you this. Did you ever like think that it wasn't possible to make it to where you are today? Like, did you know back then it was like, yo, I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life. Like, baseball's gonna be my life, period.
I think I thought that way, but I thought that way in like an ignorant form where I didn't know what it would take for me to make this my life. You know what I mean? So I always thought baseball would beat it no matter what. I was like, there's nothing else. This is what I wanted. This is what I'm going to have. And I never thought about what it's going to take to do that, to keep baseball in my life. Mm-hmm. And it took a while for me to figure that out. Like, I matured late and I figured some things out a little bit late. I had some luck on my side, the right people on my side and stuff like that. But it took a while to get to where I got. And growing up young, I had all the support in the world from my family, my parents, all the support in the world, but I just didn't have I didn't go out and explore what I needed to do to actually maximize my talent, my abilities and all that stuff. So I had luck on my side, and they say sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but but I had the right people on my side.
Who was it that, like, at that age, at a really young age, who was it that you kind of credit a lot of your success to?
Yeah, like, I went to Columbus High School, and everybody at Columbus was fantastic. Like, from teammates to coaches to the teachers that were fantastic. Like, it was great people, and I loved all the people that I was there, and they kind of formed everything for me. And that's skipping over my parents, which is the obvious. My parents were like number one, my grandparents and all that. But getting to college, like, my college coaches were obviously tremendous. And then when I graduated college, I ended up coaching, and that was my first job in baseball. I stayed on as a graduate assistant at Abreu University, and Mark Pagel was the one that hired me. He was the head coach at the time, so he was like my first real mentor in the game. So, and that's when I started, going back to what I was saying earlier, that's when I started realizing, okay, I gotta start doing things a little bit different if I want to keep baseball around in my life, what I mean? And Mark, Coach Pagel was the one that kind of set me on that path a little bit and taught me how to mature and what it was going to take to be a professional.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you talked about like that bliss, right? Like that ignorance almost, right? Like ignorance is bliss in a sense. I feel like a lot of us had that, and I don't know about you, but I felt like even my dad and my parents had that too. Did your parents have like, you said they supported you all the way, but like they didn't know either, right?
No,
like, why do you think they were like that, and why are parents like that?
I think for you and I specifically, I think it's a little bit of a culture thing. Like, ese niño, ese niño, like, we're the best. There's nobody better.
Yeah.
It could have been Mike Trout on my team, and my mom would have said, he sucks, you're way better. Like, so that kind of support, I don't think they knew what it would take. And, they know what it would take because they went through their struggles as well. Of course, being immigrants and all that stuff, their grandparents and everything that they went through. They knew that it took hard work. And they knew that it took passion. My dad was a businessman. It took certain things that are transferable to my world and my industry in baseball. So like he instilled and my mom instilled those type of things in us, but they didn't know what it really took in terms of like actual baseball to get to where we are. But it was more just like support and guiding.
Yeah,
Guiding
it's crazy because I think that that's one of the things that kids like need is just a little bit of like almost like when you're bowling, one of those things that come up like just the lanes, just to hold you in there. You keep going. I don't know where is the end, but just keep stay in there, stay in there. You talk about obviously Columbus, right? Like what is that brotherhood like? I've had a bunch of people on here from Columbus, and you guys, it's one of a kind. One of a kind. You guys love people from Columbus. Like, why is there such a brotherhood, and why is there so much love in that place? Like, what is it? What is it? Give me the secret, bro. Give me the damn secret, because I hear it from everybody.
Man, I can't give you too many secrets. Man, we just had so much fun in our time there. Like the school, the setup of the school, and it's changed so much over time, but the people that went there, like the camaraderies that you build there, and then the people that come back from after 5, 10, 20 years, they come back and they treat you like, oh, you went to Columbus? Like you could be in the shopping center and it's like, oh, you're a Columbus guy, and all of a sudden you got a discount or something.
Yeah.
There wasn't really any kind of, honestly, there wasn't really a secret, but like we had so much fun in our time there, and the classroom set up and the way the classes and the teachers interact. This was not boys' school, so there was a lot.
Very serious in class, I'm sure, right? You guys did no messing around ever.
Zero, none, zero. I mean, we had like you get away with a lot. Being in an all boys school, you get away with a lot, and it's just like, you know, wrestling matches in the middle of class.
Yeah, clear the desk, bro. Get the desk out.
And it's like right when you walk in, no, I didn't even wrong yet. Clear the desk. Let's go to today's wrestling match or whatever. Like, crazy stuff, man.
And the teachers are the referees. Go.
Right. Yeah. Teachers that I remember having one teacher that had a collection of sticks and different kinds of, like, it was a bamboo stick, there was a big paddle, there was like all kinds of these different sticks, and you know, if you bothered him, like, he was cool as hell. Yeah. But if you bothered him, if you were talking while he was talking, on the desk.
No man.
And pick your stick. You get to pick whichever one you want.
Oh, that's nice.
Like, crow hop and got you.
And so everybody's laughing.
It was a joke. It was like fun. It was that atmosphere. As much as we fucked around, it made you pay attention.
Of course.
Just as much more when they got serious. You know.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was a great time, man, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Because you respected the teachers at the end of the day, because you felt like
some of them. Some of them.
Enough. You respected them enough to listen. And you know, one of the things that I loved when I got to UM, right? I went to a public school all my life, but then I went to a private school when I got to college.
Right.
And I think it's one of the things that you don't notice from the outside, but when you get into the inside, like, talk to me about like the connections and the people that you meet, and the kids, dads, you know, aunts, uncles, this, that, like you said, they own everything. I mean, bro, how was that, and understanding like now business, maybe at an earlier age than, I mean, for say a guy like me, like I didn't learn until I got to college.
Yeah, I didn't get it as much in high school. Like I was too dumb and immature to take advantage of that aspect of it. You know, the connections that you can build through a school like Columbus. So I was too dumb to take advantage of that. But going forward, you know, the connections that you see and the people that you meet, like, they're rolling out the red carpet for you just because of the school that you went to, and you could have been a turd at that school. Everybody could have hated you. You could be a turd of a human.
Yeah.
You went to Columbus, so you know you're gonna get some preferential treatment. And it's you know, obviously you don't see it outside of Miami, but there in Miami, like, everybody that comes in, like, they come out successful one way or another. Like I had guys in my class, like, I'm on a group chat with my class because we had our 20-year reunion last year. And so we all got on a group chat, and there was like all kinds of idiots on there. No offense, guys, but like, I was an idiot too. And like, you learn things that these guys have become super successful. And you're like, this guy really? He's a millionaire?
That's
whatever. And it's like, wow, dude. Like, you learn these certain life skills that you just won't get in a traditional high school setting. You know, you learn how to hustle in Columbus. Like, absolute hustle skills and life skills in Columbus. Like I learned, I don't want to get too I mean, there was like a whole black market in Columbus.
Really? You guys had done? I knew it, bro. No, okay.
Yeah, like black market, but it was like black market of food.
Yeah.
Food and like and sandwiches and stuff like that. You could ask Jay about it. Like,
bro, that's why you guys have what's the guy? The Josh? Didn't Josh go there? Josh Premium Meats? The Premium Meats go there?
I don't know.
I don't know, bro. But you guys have
Shadow Wagyu.
There you go. Sorry. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, he was probably doing that in
Yeah.
who knows in high school.
Yeah.
But it was like
And
sandwiches they go get.
Yeah. When I say black market, I don't mean like drugs. And
No, I know.
I mean we were smart about it. We were entrepreneurs. We were like entrepreneurs on a small level, but we were learning how to be entrepreneurs.
Dang, bro.
Yeah.
I had the drug dealers in my school, bro.
Yeah.
But they were entrepreneurs too, I guess, right?
No doubt.
It's a fine line. It's a fine line. So, do you think? How important do you think is the people that you surround yourself with? Then, like, is that probably one of the answers to success? Because you said you got lucky, but from what I hear, it's not luck. It's just the people that you were around. Like,
it's everything. It's everything. It's the people that you surround yourself with are going to guide you, not just to where you go, but who you become, and your character, and they'll mold you into the person that you become, and they're going to motivate you, or they're going to detract from you. You got to learn, and I learned late to get rid of the bad ones. Like I don't need this one. It hurts, it sucks, but you keep the good ones around. You get rid of the bad ones. Like that's who you're gonna become. We had the saying, you heard it a million times when we were kids. Dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. Right? Tell me who you hang out with, and I'll tell you who you are. It's everything, man. The people that you surround yourself with, for sure.
How did the experience? Obviously, you surrounded yourself with a great group of people. Obviously, at Columbus, I'm sure. And how was it when you were going through like the recruiting process to try to get to college? Like, was that something that was tough on you, or was it like what were you going through in your head and like psychologically? Like, was it tough? Were you excited? Or walk me through that process. How was it?
Yeah, honestly, man, I don't remember a whole lot about it. I didn't garner a ton of attention from like the schools that I thought. Like I always dreamed. Every kid has the same dream. You want to go to UM.
Yeah.
You want to be a Hurricane. And they weren't looking at me, and I wasn't that caliber of player, and I get it. Now I didn't understand it. I was mad about it, but
that's good though.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
Absolutely. So I found I got recruited by Coach Abreu and Juan Renero, who's as the head coach there now, and they brought me in, and they actually brought in Alex Meneses as well. Do you know Alex?
I think so. I've heard that name.
Yeah. So he graduated with me at Columbus.
Oh, gotcha.
Played with me at Barry, so we went together to Barry. So that helped the process. Like,
cool.
Me and Alex played against each other when we were in middle school, then played 4 years at high school together, and then we were going to college together.
Nice.
So kind of helped the process, and then it wasn't really nerve-wracking. It was just like, okay, here's the people that are with me, and my parents guided the process as well. But it wasn't nerve-wracking. It was just like, just find me a place to play baseball, man. That's all I want to do.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter. I'll figure it out. Just let me play baseball.
How was it playing at that level? Like, was it a big jump for you from high school to college, or?
No, like my recruiting class, a lot of us just went in and we started right away. So me and Alex especially, we started right away. So we were 4-year starters at Barry all the way through. We never skipped a beat. Like Alex, I think he hit like 400 as a freshman, and he was great. He was a shortstop. I had a good year. We both both of our names are in the record books a ton. Like we had a great time. We didn't miss a beat. Played against a lot of UM guys that bounced back. Some guys that bounced back to other schools. But the conference that we were in, Barry plays in the SSC, that's the toughest D2 conference in the country by far. You got University of Tampa that they win every year. It's stupid. So yeah, it was good competition. Like we played against some really good players. We played against big leagues. We played against JD Martinez. We played against these guys were after. I coached against these guys, but JD, Mike Fires, those type of guys. Matt Joyce was in the big leagues. We played against him for a while. So we played against big leaguers, and it was good competition. It was fun.
How was it? Like obviously doing well at that level, but like watching guys when you were coaching like a JD. Like, can you tell even if they were in like a D2 school or like fries and stuff like that. Like, can you tell they were gonna be big leaguers then?
Not Fires, man. Like Fires was a good pitcher. He was a good pitcher, but it wasn't like he was throwing 97, blowing it by guys or whatever. It was just like he was a pitchability guy, and you know, some scout saw him, believed in him, and the guy went in and he just carved out a niche for himself and became great at what he can do. And you know, look at the career he had, or is having, and you know, it was good for him. JD raked all throughout college. Did you think he was going to be a big leaguer? I don't know. I never thought in that sense. Like my thought process when I was coaching was like, I'm just going to, you know,
win, whatever.
Yeah, we got to find a way to beat this guy. Whatever. Like Jan Gomes, I coached Jan Gomes at Barry. Jan Gomes was one that I said this guy was going to be a big leaguer. I told him all the time. Like I knew he just had, the guy was above everybody else, a level above everybody else, and you know he wasn't even our starting catcher. Barry. Yeah, like he bounced back from Tennessee, and he wasn't even our starting catcher. We had Chris Leon as our starting catcher. You know Chris?
No.
So Chris was a great catcher, and Jan was like our 3-hole hitter. He was our best hitter by far.
Yeah.
And but Chris was that good of a defender. So Jan would catch like the second game of the doubleheader, and then he'd play third base the other games, which tells you how good of an athlete he was.
Yeah, he's a
great third baseman too. But he raked, man. He was just like an uncanny good hitter.
Dude, it's so crazy to see guys like bounce back from. I mean, like I can't even imagine. Everybody has different stories, but like, what in the world happened to Jan Gomes at Tennessee? Like, why? You know, like I think that's so crazy. It's all about where you're at, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
Dang, man. Because I mean, he was gonna do what he did anyways, right? Whether he was there, wherever he was at. But how was it transitioning from playing to coaching? Like, can you walk me through that?
That was the toughest thing I ever had to do, man. Because I was coaching my best friends. To this day, my 3 of my best friends in the world were on the team that I was coaching. And before the school year even started, like when Pedro offered the graduate assistant job to me, we had to have a sit down. Like he called me for a meeting, we went to lunch, and he was like, look, I need you to understand that there has to be zero fraternizing. Like you have to draw a hard line with these guys. Like you cannot be their friend until they graduate. There's no going out and drinking, there's no clubs, there's no parties, and it was tough, man. Like
those are your boys, bro.
My boys are my best friends. Like one of them was the best man at my wedding yesterday. And I couldn't even hang out with them. So
and they're 2 years younger than you. It's not like they're like.
Well, one of them redshirted, so he was.
Oh, he's your age. Yeah. Oh, it was the next year. That's right. It was
literally right the next year. So he had redshirted his freshman year. So you know, when I graduated, my first year coaching, he's a senior. He's a redshirt senior, and then the other one was a junior, Mike Davila, and he's one of my best friends. I had taken him under my wing when he came to Barry, and now I have to coach him. And like we were all a bunch of degenerates, you know what I'm saying? So like to get that out of us and separate us like that.
At least out of you.
And great. There were days where I slid in.
Yeah.
It was a blurred line. But we figured it out.
It was a different time too, bro. Like you could kind of get away with a little more, right?
Yeah, there weren't cameras, there weren't phones, the cell phone cameras and all that. It was different world. I wish we could go back sometimes.
What?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Not for a bad thing. Sorry, Savannah. You know, but it's crazy how that has completely transcended the world, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
absolutely.
Like people used to go out and nothing, no big deal, and everybody has the ability to see every move, bro.
Yeah, no doubt.
Whether you want to or not.
It's terrifying. Yeah, it's terrifying. And look, there's a lot of good and positive that comes out of it, and I think we tend to like focus a little bit on the negative. It's like, oh, you can't do anything anymore or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good things that come out of the fact that things are documented. Like, people can't,
of course,
like you have to behave better in public.
Yeah.
Why is that a bad thing? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like there was a little more freedom, and you weren't just like walking, skating on thin ice all the time when you're out because there's a camera on you at all times.
Yeah.
You know.
Damn, bro, you bring up a good point though, man. Like holding yourself to a higher standard.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes you a better person. You know.
Why is that changing, bro? I don't feel like that's a thing anymore. I don't feel like people are trying to like set the standard. I feel like they're trying to blur that line of having a standard and like saying that's okay.
Yeah, they're trying to find new ways to get around it instead of just saying, okay, maybe I should just be better. You know, like, I don't know. It's in our nature, I guess.
Talk to me about well, before we get into the kids that you see play, talk to me about that transition now from coaching. You coached what, how many years did you coach at Barry?
I coached 5 years at Barry with like a gap in between.
Oh, okay.
I had 1 year of a gap.
What did you do during that time?
I went to like personal training and lessons and stuff like that, and just I didn't see where I was going with the coaching thing, and I was just young and dumb and immature, and I didn't see a vision for myself, and I left it for a year, and it was the stupidest thing I ever did. I came right back, and thank God they took me back, and I came back, and that's when from there I got my jump into pro ball.
How was that conversation of coming back in? Because that's actually something that I feel like it takes a man to be able to have that conversation and you're like messed up.
Yeah, like it was an apology, and it wasn't. There was no hard feelings or anything like that. But it was like, dude, look, I was stupid. This is where I need to be. I need to be coaching. Baseball is my life. I got it taken away from me for a year, and I don't want to be without it again. So, will you take me back? It's like coming to an ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, ex-girl. Sorry, bro. I didn't mean it.
But yeah, me and Paige were like real tight. So he took me back, and you know, we won when I was there. So it was
easy choice, bro. Yeah. Come back. I need you here, bro. What is so now you get your start into obviously pro ball, but like where was it that started? Like how did that conversation come about? Who did you go to? Kind of that. I want to know about like the door knocking process if there was any.
Yeah, so this is where the luck kind of comes in. So in 2011, 2011, I'm coaching at Barry. We got a real good team. I think we were ranked one in the country at one point that year. And this is when I started to like mature. I started seeing I'm starting to get old, and I started like figuring out what I'm gonna do in my life. I'm not making a whole lot of money coaching. Like coaching is a grind for a lot of guys. Like, you see all these D1 coaches that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, that's great. Try being a graduate assistant making $3,000 a year as a graduate assistant, you know. And
sounds like the minor leagues, bro.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a grind, and I started like, all right, man, you gotta start figuring things out. See, like, what's your future gonna look like? What's 3, 5, 10 years? Like, what's that look like? So the winter meetings were coming around, and I decided to go. They were in Orlando, so I go to the winter meetings, and I was just gonna pass out resumes and try to meet people. And you know, I knew some people that were gonna be there, and they kind of helped me out and put me in front of some people, and just kind of very informal conversations, nothing serious or whatever. And I put on Facebook at the time, I put on status or whatever it is that I was at the winter meetings, and an old teammate saw it, and he said, "Hey man, what are you doing at the winter meetings?" And I told him, you know, just making contacts, you know, trying to meet people, trying to move on with my career or whatever. And he was like, well, look, I'm working for the Milwaukee Brewers in the DR. You know, we have an opening. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, absolutely, I'd be interested. So, long story short, I interviewed for the position, and they offered me the position. And that was a tough situation for me because I was a coach, and at the time I had aspirations of being like a major league hitting coach. That's what I wanted to do. I was a hitting guy, and I loved teaching hitting, and I loved being on the field, and like that was my thing. And this job that he was interviewing for, offering me was, the title was Assistant Coordinator of Latin American Operations. And so it was an operations job, it wasn't necessarily on the field. And so I had a hard time deciding whether or not I would accept the position, because I knew the following year, Barry University was going to open up a full-time assistant job. And that was going to be like a salary. And not a whole lot of money, but
you can live.
Sure, I can live. Yeah. And so I talked to a lot of people that, like our staff that was there, that guided me a lot, payroll, Jay Graney or Laz Gutierrez. And you know, at the end of the day, they told me, look, you get your foot in the door with Major League Baseball, then that door opens all kinds of opportunities. You never know where it could take you. But getting your foot in the door is the toughest thing to do, and you have that right now. Not everybody gets that. So that's what they explained to me. My dad told me the same thing. My mom told me the same thing, and I went with it. And it was like, fly to the DR, get out of here, going to the DR. And they ended up letting me coach infielders while I was there for the DSL team, the Dominican Summer League team. So that was a great experience. And what was cool was that this guy who was my former teammate, he was actually, when we were together at Barry, he was, I think like 2 years younger than me, and he was my backup third baseman, and now he was my boss.
What?
Yeah, so it was like, it was weird, but it was fun. Like, it was a cool dynamic that we had. And so I get down there, and I did a year and a half with the Milwaukee Brewers down in the DR, and that was my first into professional baseball.
Dang.
Yeah.
How was like the living situation, the food, like how was that, bro?
Another grind, dude. Another grind. Living on the complex with all the players, you know, it's like, it's third world. You're in the DR, and it's nicer than what you see in like the hard parts of the DR, but it's still the DR, you know, and there's still some things that, so it wasn't easy. Like I didn't have my own apartment, my own space, my own, you know, it was different. And I was still young, and I was dumb, and I was immature, and I wanted to, you know, I still had the party in me. I still had the single guy in me. So every now and then I do, you know, stupid shit. That stuff will come out. But
I'm sure you got other coaches hanging out with you too.
Yeah, I got other coaches and stuff
yeah.
like that. So, but it was an experience, man. Like it was humbling. It was definitely humbling. You got to know a lot. You learned a ton. You know, once you get into pro ball, and I'm sure you feel the same way. The jump from college to pro ball, I'm sure within 2 months you learned so much more than you ever knew about baseball. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
It hits you quick. It hits you quick. It's a whole different world over there. And I learned that the same way that when you go from playing to coaching, you learn way more when you start seeing it from a different perspective. So that was impactful. Just getting to be around guys that had big league time, that had, you know, a lot more years of experience in the game and in professional baseball than I did. You know, I only played 2 years of independent ball, so I didn't get to play affiliated ball. So you learn a lot more about the game and see it from a different light and what pro ball really looks like, the inner workings of things, and you're seeing it from an operations standpoint. So you're involved in those things as well, which you never even think about as a player or, you know, a college coach. So seeing the inner workings of things and how the logistics of a player just going from the Dominican Republic to the United States to play, what it takes for the kid to go, going through the visa process, taking him to the consulate to get his visa, like all these things, it's like, Jesus Christ, this is a whole operation, dude. It's complex, man. It's complex, and it took me a while to figure out how serious this thing was, and you know, it was just unique, man. It was very eye-opening.
Dude, tell me about, obviously now being a scout, right, and seeing kids at a young age here in the United States growing up, trying to make it, right, even Puerto Rico, obviously, but when you went to the Dominican Republic and hearing the stories of the things that those kids, like, what are some stories that you heard, and like, for people that don't understand kind of that process of how to get to be a professional athlete, like, what are these kids living through as kids to get to that point?
It takes the phrase playing for your life to a whole different dimension. Like, these kids are literally playing to survive. We had in that complex, a lot of these kids, like, in the complex we'd go Monday through Saturday training, and then all the kids were allowed to go home on Saturdays and come back on Sundays, on Sunday evening, report back for training again. A lot of the kids didn't even go home because at the complex they had 3 meals a day, AC, running water, like a TV, electricity, and they don't have that at home. And that's what they grew up with, and they were able to supersede that and get a professional baseball contract. And you know, it shows like how hard they work, but these kids are literally playing for their lives, because unless they get off the island, there's almost nothing for them. There's no opportunities for them down there. And now it's a little bit different. Now, like especially with us with the Mets, we have a big education factor in our complex. Like all of our kids are getting degrees. Like we're educating these kids so that if it doesn't work out in baseball, they're set to get a job. They can go and do whatever they can do in the DR and survive and provide for a family and put a roof over their heads. And we're doing a great job of that down there. But back then, and not that the Brewers weren't doing that, it was just a different time. And all 30 clubs are evolving more in that side of things. But these kids, what it takes for them to get to the States, it's like literally unbelievable. And when you see the conditions that they have to train in and what they have, the tools that they have at their disposal in order to get better. And you've seen videos, you've seen documentaries and stuff like that. Like it's not exaggerated. Those kids are playing barefoot with broomsticks and bottle caps, and like that's how they're getting better. They're using wood pallets as gloves. They're using rolled up aluminum foil as baseballs. Like these are the tools that they have at their disposal. While we have beautiful turfed baseball fields and all these things and brand new aluminum bats. And like it's a different world down there. And when you start looking at it in that sense, that these kids literally are playing just to get off the island because all of their opportunities are off the island.
How do they get into? So again, like for the people that don't know, obviously there's academies before even getting to what a lot of people say is the La Academia, like the academy of like the actual teams, right? Like they're in academies from a young age, right? Like how do they get into those academies and who scouts them to get into those academies? The ones that are prior to actually signing professionally.
Right. So it's just like an agent, which down there they call buscon. They'll go and they'll just like look for players and at 8, 9, 10 years old, whatever. And
what the heck are they looking at, bro? Like that's what I'm trying to wonder.
I'll tell you what, like you can go to a 9-year-old game and you can say, damn, that's a pretty good swing right there. Like you can see, you would be able to with no problem.
Really?
Yeah, I guarantee. Because some of these kids nowadays, like I watch 9U games because of my nephews and stuff like that. I'm like, God damn, man, I'm gonna be watching that kid for sure. Like, there's no question. So yeah, these Buscones, like they take kids in and they just put them into their academy and they start training them, and these kids don't have any money to pay for it.
Yeah.
So they go and some of them pan out, some of them don't, and then the ones that do pan out are essentially like their big bonuses. A lot of it's going back to this guy because this guy pretty much fed them and put a roof over their heads for the last 5-6 years at no cost. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, I helped you out to get here. Like this is my reward now. But yeah, they get in there real young and then they just train at these academies all day long. It's their lives, and some of them don't even go to school or get educations. And
that was one of the things that I learned when I first got to rookie ball, bro. Like I remember guys, obviously being a guy that could speak English and Spanish, and people come up to me like, hey, look, I got this mail, can you help me out with maybe whether it was taxes or anything that came, hey, phone bill. Right. But there was guys that used to bring me stuff in Spanish to read. They can't even read, man. Like it's what if there is any education, like what kind of education do they get? Like other ones that do.
Well, now we get you mean like
before they're
we had an education program in when I was down there like 10 years ago when I was down there.
Nice.
So they were actually like going to classes and learning things, and I'd be in there, sit in and just listen to them sometimes, and so there was educational programs that would just kind of get you, but some of these are 18-year-old kids that read at a 6th grade level, so you got to go back and like
teach everything.
Yeah, you're starting from square one a lot of times. And then there's other kids, there's plenty of kids that are a little more advanced and whatnot. But I think the system now, every team has a system in place now that's really benefiting these kids, whereas you're not signing to play baseball and then you have nothing left if baseball doesn't work out. Like you're being left in a good place.
Nice.
After the fact.
Yeah, I'm sure it's tough. Or is it tough when you see kids that you're like, man, like I'm sure they sign at 16, but then they're still there at 22.
Yeah.
I don't even know if a lot lasts 22 in DR, but let's say you're like, oh, this guy can never go into rookie ball, like in the US. Like, is it tough to watch, like as a coach?
Yeah, like the kids down there are such good kids, a lot of them, man. Like, and they're so grateful for what you give them because you know they don't get it anywhere else. So yeah, like sitting in a room and releasing a player is like one of the hardest thing I did as a professional employee of Major League Baseball. Like it is brutal, especially a good kid that you've just spent 2 years like working on the infield with, working in the cages with. It's difficult, man. Like you're seeing their lives come to an end essentially, man. And then, you know, a lot of them, some of them stick around, some of them either bounce back within a team or some of them stay on as coaches. That was always cool to see when one came back as a coach because, you know, a lot of them, they may not have been talented enough to play, but you'd be damn good as a coach. And those skills, you can recognize that while they're playing. So some guys will come back as coaches and make a career out of that.
Yeah, no, it's a huge. I almost in tears, bro. But yeah, thinking about some of my friends that I was like, damn, man, like they just go back to nothing, bro. Yeah. Like they were living that dream. But don't you think it also takes that? Like they had that bliss too. I feel like they had that just like, yo, I don't care. Give me $5, give me $20. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna make it. And then when that all comes to an end, it's like a crashing halt.
Yeah, it's like a immovable belief that they have that they're all going to be the next David Ortiz, Pedro Martinez, Manny Ramirez. Like that's what they believe, every single one of them, and it's pretty cool to see that the pureness of the game down there. That's like of all my time that I spent down there, the coolest thing was like just the pureness of the game and the energy that. You know, there's no fans in the stands. Like you played in GCL, there's nobody there. It's miserable. There's no fans in the stands in the DSL either. Those games are crazy. Like those kids are getting after it, man. They're playing hard, yelling, crazy. It's wild, man. It's fun. It's intense. Yeah.
Isn't it so beautiful to see how baseball is? You know what, bro? Forget about that. Tell me about the WBC. What did you see in the WBC this year, bro?
Oh, we're gonna go that route.
Let's go because it's similar conversation. I was about to ask you about the U.S. versus obviously playing in the DR and growing up as a kid with the Miami. We had the same type of dynamic, and I think we could see how the WBC played out. But what was your take on the WBC, bro?
Yeah, it was like it was almost like watching a movie, man. It was so cool, dude. I hate seeing the arguments of, and look, I have an unbiased opinion because our closer got hurt.
Yeah,
it's like absolutely crushing. You feel awful for him and the team, the family, everybody. It's terrible. But even he'll tell you how fun it was to watch and to play and to be in that atmosphere. Like that stadium in Miami, it never gets like that. Like I've been there for World Series games and I've seen it packed. And people in Miami, don't get us wrong. People in Miami have passion for baseball.
Oh yeah.
Just because they don't necessarily go to the stadium doesn't mean they don't love Miami Marlins baseball.
Yeah.
They love it. But WBC is a different animal, man. It really is. And I was just watching a video yesterday on Twitter of Yelich and what was it, Mookie Betts, I think it was, talking about the passion, how much fun it was to play in the WBC. Like, if anybody ever says that it's not worth it to do the WBC, you're crazy, man. The WBC is an amazing, amazing event, dude. It is so cool, dude.
I think you're gonna start seeing like guys, even on like Team USA, let's say, like there's not gonna be enough spots for the guys that want to play.
Oh yeah.
Like before it was a thing like, nah, bro, like somebody else could play or whatever. Like, and now it's no, bro. I want to be there. Like, absolutely. I don't know about you, bro, but like I felt like I fell in love with the game again.
Right.
Like because when you're on the side that we've been on, it's a business. A lot of it is a business. Like, hey, you're looking for this player, you're doing this. I'm trying to get to the next level. Yada yada yada. But like, I don't know about you, but it felt like the game that we grew up playing.
Right.
Like it felt like that just wild pureness, like win. All that matters is winning. It's WIN and nothing else matters, bro.
100%, man. 100%. It's fun to watch when you watch so much baseball like I do and how you lived and all that. And there's a lot of different goals involved in the baseball that you watch. Like you were playing for a college national championship, and at the same time you were trying to get drafted.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So there was that business aspect. I'm watching these kids, and I'm watching them play for the state championship. They're playing for the draft. But you see the WBC, and it's literally just playing for your country. nothing else, you know. And granted, there are rewards that go to the countries that win and all that stuff, so on and so forth. But I mean, the passion, you don't get that often, man. You don't get it very often at any level. At WBC especially, and the fact and the way that it ended was just like,
no, bro, you can't make that up, bro. You can't make that up. There was no bad situation that could have happened in that at that right there. There was nothing bad. Bro, I'm getting goosebumps.
It was wild.
It didn't matter. If you watch the last the last at bat of the WBC, it describes exactly that moment, the whole thing, bro. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Watching those two guys stand in the box and stand on the mound, it's like, wow.
Insane, dude. It's like worlds colliding. Literally worlds colliding.
Oh, man.
It's so cool.
So, now let's tie this into something else. You are a scout, obviously, right? How important is, I've always loved to, I've never really sat in front of a scout that I always saw you guys and talk, and we always had good conversations, but I never really asked, which I wish I should have. I wish I had the you-know-what to ask. Like, what do you guys look for? Like, do you like passion? Is that something that you use like as a grading tool for yourself? Like,
yeah, so that would factor into makeup. You know, there's guys that play the game different ways. There's guys that play the game high energy. There's guys that play the game low energy. Passion.
Like me, low energy. I was always low energy usually, right?
I thought you were being serious. It's like the best paint jobs in the country. I got a story about one of your paint jobs too, by the way.
We'll get there.
No, yeah, like, you love to see the game. You love to see guys that play with fire, play with passion. Like I was that guy. I wore my emotions on my sleeve when I played. Yeah. So you love to see that, and then when you see a low energy guy, you're like, oh man, this guy has no energy, this and that, whatever. But you don't know, like you don't just being from the seeing it from the outside, you don't know what's going through his head. He's just like a low mild-mannered guy, quiet guy, whatever. Mm-hmm. So you have to investigate that, or maybe there are guys that just are playing and they don't have a lot of care and passion for the game. They're just playing because it's cool to play or whatever their motivations are. Like in 10 years of scouting, I've come across all kinds of different types of personalities and players. So passion shows itself or manifests itself in very different ways in a lot of different guys depending on their personalities and whatnot.
Yeah, no, it's something that, at least for me, I almost, in a sense, sometimes not knowing that, right? Like I almost try to hold it back sometimes. Like, maybe I shouldn't. But I'm thankful for having a guy like my dad be like, nah, bro, like you play with everything. Like, forget it. Like if they like it, good. If they don't, it is what it is. Like, what do you know? But as a kid, bro, you hear it and you think about it. Like, especially in high school, I was always like, oh man, scouts are here. Let me not, get to. But then in college, I don't know. There's something about those lights, bro. They're just whatever. Who cares who's back there, bro? It's time to party.
Oh yeah, no doubt, dude. It's those rivalry games. I feasted on that, dude. I feasted on that energy. I loved it. And it's part of the game, dude. Like some guys, it makes them play better. Some guys, they get too caught up in the moment, so they have to like calm themselves down and stay, So you can get fooled real easy as a scout on how a kid plays the game,
How? That's funny you say that. Like what do you mean? Like as fooled? Like let's say if somebody is doing good in a tough situation or doing bad in that situation, like maybe it's not a tell of how good or bad the kid is.
Yeah. So like there's guys, a low energy guy that we scouted a couple years ago, like tremendous tools, tremendous player, like physically gifted. He was a low energy guy and he kind of just dragged his feet around the field and didn't hustle to his position in between innings and everything was kind of just like slow motion, whatever. But you hit a ball in the gap and he was getting on his horse and he was going and he was, firing. Yeah. And when he needed to turn it on, he turned it on. But he got the reputation that, some guys would take that as like, this guy doesn't like playing baseball, and they'll, call it bad makeup. But unless you sit down with a kid and really get to his motivations and question him on it. Like that's one thing that I always did when I, as an area scout, when I would sit down and interview these kids, any question that I had about you, I'm asking you. Like, I want to know, like, all right, look, I saw you do this in this game. What were you thinking in this scenario, in this situation? Why did you react this way? Why didn't you do this? So on and so forth. Because I don't want to judge you just on what I'm seeing without getting real information. Like we're in the draft room, we're making $1 million decisions on guys. You have to be able to have all the information to make accurate decisions. So just judging a guy based on his mannerisms out there on the field, that's only a piece of the puzzle. Like you have to get into his head and understand who he is and why he's turning. I heard it on some of your other podcasts. Manny Machado. Yeah, I know you love him,
bro.
I don't know him personally, but like I know you rave about him. I don't know anything about him, and people knock him for not running hard. You said something in one of the podcasts that like they're not paying me to run that to beat out ground balls, and it's true, they're not. Like so he gets this bad rep because he's not beating out a ground ball, but people don't know that he's such an amazing human being.
Oh, bro, that's
yeah. So it's like you can't judge a guy until and then in the big league world it's different. Like reporters,
they spin it. Yeah, exactly.
But for us, like in order to make a decision, like do we want to give this guy $3 million in the first round, second round? Well, we can't just say, oh, he doesn't like playing the game because he moves slow on the outfield or in the infield or whatever it might be. Like, no, let's go find out. Let's dig deeper. Let's find out who this kid is, what he's about, why he plays the way he plays, and this is just personality.
How much of an impact do you think now the type of training that these kids are doing? Because obviously I felt like I was, at least at my age, just started developing like kind of like, all right, you have to like train hard. And like guys like a John Jay, a Manny, a Yonder, like all these guys that were coming up before us, like started showing us the way, like the new school of off-season training. Like how much of an impact do you think that's making on the game now? Like the kids now that are growing up, like you said it, bro, there's kids that are young with these swings that you're like, yo, I don't even know where, like how is this kid learning that at that age? Like,
right.
How much of an impact do you think that's making on the game now today?
I mean, it's huge. The access to information that we have now, the access to video data technology, people in general, because I think we feel closer to big leaguers now just through social media and through all the access that we have, through reporters or whatever. We hear from them more, so we feel closer to them and we feel like we understand and hear them speak more. They have platforms where they can go and speak about what they do with their swing. MLB Network, you tune in there and you'll see Mookie Betts talking about why he swings a certain way, why he does a certain drill, Bryce Harper, why he does this, why he does that. So you feel closer to that, and then kids take that and they have the video, they have the access, they have all of this information, and they try to apply it for themselves, which is awesome. It's fantastic that kids are doing this, doing it the right way, and doing what works for you. Like that's a completely different conversation. But the fact that we have all this access to the information, I think it's really good for the game, and I think it's helping kids out for sure, especially at the younger levels. For better or for worse, you like the swag, you like the gold chains, you like it or you don't like it, whatever. The kids are having fun. They're taking it, and it means they're watching baseball on TV.
Yeah.
A 9-year-old kid wearing Jazz Chisholm's glasses or dressing like Jazz Chisholm when he goes to a Little League game. That's cool because he's watching the game.
That's true.
You may be an old school guy that wants to be real strict about what these kids should wear and how to play the game and this, that, whatever. It's good for the game. The kids watching. You know what I'm saying?
Let's get into something else, bro. High school baseball. Like you grew up even in a better era, but I think it's aged like fine wine. Like your era was like unbelievable high school baseball. It started kind of, in my eyes, diminishing a little bit, right? And when I was in high school, I started seeing, I'm a product of it. I changed schools. Like I went to a different school, not because I wasn't good enough to play in the school that I was in, but just because I wanted to play with a better team, right? I was chasing a ring. I was chasing a championship. I wanted to win, which we didn't get that, obviously, but whatever. That's besides the point. But what do you think has changed about high school sport? Like, why isn't there that like crazy like love or passion or like buy into your school? What happened? What happened to high school baseball?
So, I guess you could go a lot of ways with this. I think that same access to information has changed the reason why kids play a little bit. Like some kids are playing for the scouts, some kids are playing for the draft, some kids are playing for the college, the D1 college recruits. They're not necessarily just playing to have fun and love the game. You have advisors and agents that are like tied into these players, and you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just changing the viewpoint, the view of the game in a sense. So these kids have different motivations, they have different passions. There's a certain part of the game that's become a business as well, and it's helping grow the game, but at the same time, is it growing the game in the right way? Is it natural? Is it organic? There's a lot of ways you can go with it, but high school baseball has changed quite a bit. When I was in high school, South Florida baseball was it. Like, it was, every school in Dade County had really good players going to really good schools or getting drafted, and it's not necessarily like that anymore. Like, you know, it's thinning out a little bit, and the cream has risen to the top, and the good schools are still really good, and there's still a lot of really good coaches and a lot of really good programs in high school baseball, but it's thinner now. Like, you don't, Coral Park playing Braddock may have been like must-see baseball in 2002. It's not anymore necessarily, you know. And I was just talking about the other day the Columbus versus Southwest game. You probably don't know anything about it, but Columbus lost to Southwest. Columbus was like an insanely good high school baseball team in 1999, and they went against Southwest, the biggest underdogs, and almost like, no offense to anybody on that team, but like no big names on that team, like very unknowns, and they went. Columbus went to Southwest and lost. They got spanked, and it was like front page news the next day. When it's a high school baseball game, front page news in Miami anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy. Baseball in South Florida was wild, and people lived off it. And it's different now. It's not the same. I think the same way that the access and everything has helped grow the game, it's also changed a lot of the reasons why the game is played.
And obviously now you're with TNXL, and that's one of the things that maybe, and I'll let you explain it more, but innovative in a way, right? Like, innovative, and with the changing of the game, you guys are figuring out a way to kind of give that access to players. Is that correct?
Yeah, so high school baseball is still like school and baseball.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that
of course.
at all.
As we know, we both had a lot of fun at school.
Absolutely.
School was great.
Absolutely. A lot of good times. And there's nothing wrong with that, but this business model of the academy style baseball, it started to come about a few years ago, and the first one that I remember is TNXL Academy in Ocoee, Florida, started by Brian Martinez, who I actually played at Abreu with for a year and coached him for a year as well. And we stayed real tight over the years. He stayed in the game for a long time, and he's done a lot of good things in the game, coached a lot of really good players in the Orlando area. And so he started in 2014, and it's basically, you know, baseball first was school. I don't want to say taking a back seat, but like in the passenger seat.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So you're still getting everything that you need academically in order to get your high school diploma and get to whatever school you want to get to through a virtual school platform. But you know, while the traditional kid is going to, you know, Columbus or whatever high school he attends, academy players are going to school to train. So kind of going back to like the DR and the programs, the academies down there in the DR, like you're training in the day, and it's training, games, a full schedule. So it's a focus on baseball, and then you're doing school on your own time, and it's through a virtual school platform, which virtual school platforms are obviously a very novel idea. Not a lot of people know about it. Everybody hears homeschool, and you're like, homeschool? Like, you and I didn't even know what homeschool was when we were kids. But now, like, homeschooling is taking off, especially because the pandemic kind of kicked it off a little bit.
Yep.
But people don't understand that homeschool kids, virtual school kids, they have the same opportunities to go to Stanford, Harvard, whatever Ivy League school that they want to go to. They have the same opportunities as the kid that goes to the best high school in any state. You're just kind of like taking a more targeted route in your coursework. So like, you're not taking a PE. You're not spending an hour of your day in PE. You know, you're taking maybe a college credited course. So you can structure it however you want. It's a very flexible program, and you can fit it into your schedule however you want. So it's a different model, but it's focused on baseball. And then, you know, the catch is that you got to do it right. Like if you're going to be spending all day training baseball, and it's because you're serious about baseball, right?
Of course.
This style, this model is not for everybody. But if you're going to be spending all day training baseball, you got to be training the right way, and you got to have the right people training. You know, and that's what we're putting together at TNXL Miami.
Gotcha. So it's more making sure that the kids also have access to the right type of training, right? It's not just training out of local.
Right, correct. So like we're changing the emphasis of high school baseball. Like in my eyes, I visualize an entire reform of high school baseball over the course of the next 3 to 5 years. You know, winning is part of player development, and every high school that you go to, like their objective is to win. But you don't winning, in my opinion, and at TNXL Miami, winning is a byproduct of what you do in order to win, right? I just heard a great quote today, and I'm gonna steal it. It was from Eddie Rodriguez.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah.
And it was a fantastic quote, and it stuck with me. I wrote it down. It's difficult to recreate a result if you don't know the processes that got you that result. You know what I'm saying? Like that one.
We're gonna post that one. I will post that one. I will post that one. That's true.
Thank you. And that one hit hard. It's like you're absolutely right. So like my whole thing when I was speaking to him this morning a lot about the player development stuff, and we're talking about being process oriented. The processes are what lead to your result, right? So you don't go into the batter's box and hit a home run and not know how you did it. You got to know the processes that led you to that home run in order to be able to hit 10 more home runs. So winning is kind of the focus of high school baseball. You want to win a high school state championship, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's cool. Absolutely, it's very cool to win a high school state championship. But if you're not being developed properly in order to win, you're A, not going to win. B, you're being underserved. So you're not maximizing your potential. And not saying that all the high schools out there are not doing that and have different focuses, but at TNXL Miami specifically, all that access and all that information that I spoke about a little while ago, like you're going to have that applied to you on a daily basis. Our focus is player development, and it's not just, you know, player development is very different than coaching. Player development is actually teaching you how to develop as a player so that you can move on and have success at the next level. Coaching is a little more short-sighted, where I'm coaching you to be good in tomorrow's game and get 2 hits, steal a base or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to develop you at TNXL Miami. We're going to try and develop you to be successful in the long term, right? So you're going to get on a daily basis access to everything that, you know, a New York Mets minor league player is going to have. And that's the system that we're building at TNXL Miami, where you're going to be training like a minor league player, and you're going to get everything that's out there. Not every high school has the opportunity to provide that for their players, and you know, it's fine. Like, they don't have all the resources to be able to provide that. But if you're not in 2023, if you're not getting access to flight scope data or TrackMan data or Hawkeye or Yakatech or Blast Motion, K-Best, all of these different technologies that are out there, motion capture technology, high-speed video analysis, if you're not using that to get better on a daily basis, you're being underserved, and you're not getting better as fast as the other guys that are using that. Because I cover the country, and there's a lot of schools that are using that information to get better. And those schools are winning state championships, but they're winning state championships because of the processes, not because they're, you know, focused on just winning.
Yeah.
They're using everything at their disposal in order to win. So at TNXL Miami, what we're doing is it's a holistic view of a holistic perspective of the player. You know, you're going to get individual player plans every day. You're going to be told from day one, look, this is a full assessment. You know, we're going to take vertical leaps, sprint speeds, peak velocity, strength, mobility, and then obviously skills.
Dang!
Are we under attack?
Whatever, bro. You know how it goes.
We're not gonna do anything from here.
Yeah, we'll be alright here. I think.
Yeah. But yeah, so day one, it's going to be a full assessment, and you're going to know where you stand. All right, this is what you're good at. This is what you're not good at. It's going to be very transparent. This is your individual player plan. This is what you need to get better at. This is what you're already good at, and we need to target and keep getting better at it. This is, what we see as your full development, holistic view of you as a player, and it's your focus is going to be that. This is your plan. You have a plan of attack. And when you were in high school, if somebody told you on a monthly basis, look, you got your exit velocities over the course of the last 3 weeks went up 10%, and you were able to actually quantify those results every month, how much better of a baseball player would you be?
Bro.
You know what I mean? If we tried changing something in your swing, and then over the course of 2 weeks your exit velocities went down and your swing and miss went up and your chase went up, and
it's not working.
It's not working, but you have quantifiable results that tell you, hey, look, this isn't working. Let's change it. Let's change course here instead of just keep going with the same thing. Like, we didn't have access to any of this stuff 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The problem is that we have access to it now, but it's 20 years later and we're not using it. And you're being underserved if you're not using it. So, that's where we're going with TNXL Miami, is we're giving that opportunity to kids where they can utilize everything that's out there in order to get better and maximize their potential.
That's insane, man. Because now looking back, there'll be times where, I'm sure it happened for a lot of kids, bro. Like, I'd be at the batting cages for hours and hours and hours, and I just changed something, and I'm like, oh, I think this is it. And it might look good, but like, how much can our eyes really see?
Right.
Like, but actually having the fact of it, and then all of a sudden you go to the game and you're like, wow, this did not work, bro. And I've been wasting 2-3 months of my time because it looked maybe decent, or I thought it was gonna work.
Right.
But now that these kids actually start to use that as, all right, hey, this isn't working. You don't have to wait to see it later. Like, it's not working right now.
Right.
And another thing that I really see too, man, is having access to brains like yourself, and like even Merv. Like, I saw that he joined the team too, and I'll ask you about him in a sec. But having people that know that process,
right,
like know exactly what you need,
right,
that have been on that side already and understand, all right, hey, if you get better at this and you get better at this and you get better at this, yes, it's going to obviously lead to winning, but it's also going to lead to you winning in front of somebody like yourself, a scout that's going to a game every day and saying, hey, this is what you got to do.
Yeah.
But because kids don't understand it, but like, those conversations aren't had between a prospect and a scout. Like, a lot of times it's like, if you like the kid or you have a pretty decent relationship, you might say, hey, work on this, work on that.
Yeah.
But you also have 30 teams telling you that.
Right.
So it's hard. And then again, they might not be telling you anything at all and letting you sink or swim by yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So like, these kids nowadays having access to something and a situation like that, like you said, bro.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, the world is moving forward with a lot of things, with technology, communications, and every industry in the world is utilizing that to get better. AI, all of these things. If you're not using it at this level, you're not going to get as good as you can be, and that's just simply the fact, because everybody else is doing it. I go to high schools and they got a TrackMan up there and they're using it. I was watching a high school the other day in California, and they had a TrackMan in the thing. The high school, the kids, every pitch, they would look over. I kept seeing them look over this way, and I'm standing behind the dugout. I kept seeing them look over, and I lean over. They got a screen telling them the spin rates, the velocity, the spin axis. Like,
you gotta be
everything,
kidding me, bro.
Telling them all the information in a high school game.
Wow.
In a high school game, you tell me those kids aren't getting better just by being able to have access to that information and see it. Learning that information. And look, it may help you get better as a baseball player, but if it doesn't, it's getting you smarter on the data and tech side. We talked about staying in baseball.
Yeah.
You might become an analyst one day because
That's
you
true.
understand this stuff at 16, 17 years old, you know what I'm saying? So one of the things that I always preached as a coach was, you gotta become your own best coach. You gotta know yourself better than anybody knows yourself. When I give you a hitting lesson, I can tell you to do anything in the world, and you can do it here, great. But when you get to the game and everything breaks down, I'm not there to whisper in your ear, hey, do this. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand yourself and your swing or your delivery or your the way you feel ground balls or whatever it is you need to do on the field. You got to be your own best coach. So there's an education aspect to it as well. Like we want to educate you. Look, the best players in the game, this is how they move. Mm-hmm. This is how their movement patterns. This is what they do. You know, and there's wide ranges of it. It may work for you, it may not work for you. So if I only know how to teach one way of hitting and I'm teaching 20 kids that way, it's not fair.
No.
It's not fair, it's not right. You know? So we're at a place now in baseball where we can diagnose things that we can, you know, tell you, look, your left internal hip rotation is well below average. If we increase that, you get a little more stretch in the swing, create some more torque, and it can lead to more exit velocity and power. Like, I could tell a 14-year-old kid that, work on it, and see actual quantifiable results in a matter of, you know, weeks, months, whatever it is, and then show the kid, hey, look, all that work that we put in, look at the results. And I'm not showing you a batting average. I'm showing you quantifiable data that Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, and Mookie Betts, and Peter Longs, and all those guys are using out there. So, like, that information is right there. And, you know, a lot of schools, like I said, don't have the resources to give it to these kids. We're going to have it at TNXL Miami. We're going to be able to apply all that stuff and give quantifiable results.
What do you think parents, when putting their kids in a situation like this, like, what are some of the things that they have to be? Because you even said it yourself, and that was, it's not for everybody, right? It's not for everybody, but like, what would you tell parents to kind of give them like that sense of mind of like, all right, hey, like, this is more of an investment for my kid to be able to be successful in the long term, maybe not today or tomorrow, because I'm sure you're gonna have parents like, oh man, my kid's not playing, you know, all those things. Like, how do you explain to that right at the beginning? Like, hey, this is not for today or tomorrow, this is for 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now.
Right. You know, like I said, this academy model kind of started around 2014. Mm-hmm. And when it kind of started taking off and a few more kept popping up everywhere, we kind of started calling them fake schools. That was our term. At least us with the Mets, we were the fake school guy over here. What happened was that after 2-3 years, we found ourselves scouting these fake schools more. You know, we were there a lot, and we were drafting kids from these fake schools a lot more than we were from other schools. So it was like, all right, you know, maybe this style works in terms of actual player development. There are concerns, like I mentioned, like virtual school.
Yeah,
it's a very different idea. The whole world's going virtual right now. You know what I mean? And everything that we do is essentially virtual. Colleges are going virtual. Like if you're taking online classes in the summer, you're taking online classes in the spring and the fall as well. Mm-hmm. Sometimes just to fit it into your schedule a little bit better, and you can spend more time on development. So the virtual school, the fact that I think parents should just be open-minded to the idea. It doesn't mean that you have to dive in and buy in and say, I'm in. Like I said, it's not for everybody, but for some kids, they're gonna lock in a little bit better when they have a pair of headphones on and they're looking at a screen and they're doing their own thing. Mm-hmm. And they're getting all of the same quality, if not better, on some platforms, better quality education and teaching in those platforms. Also, you get more time. It's more efficient use of your time. There's no question. Yep. You're not spending time going to the school, coming back, you know, lunch in between, the periods in between, all that. You're working at your own pace. So you can get ahead faster. You can graduate earlier. You can take college credits earlier. All that you have access to in a virtual school. I think the biggest challenge for parents, and the one that I hear the most from parents, is the social side of things, right? They're not going to school and they're not getting the social side of things. And I ask them all the time, and I'll take a risk to you and see if I get the same answer. Mm-hmm. How many of your friends today that you're actual friends with from high school today weren't on your baseball team in high school?
My boys' wives. That's about it, bro.
Your only friends from high school, your closest friends from high school were your teammates. Yeah. You know, like your social life was the baseball team.
So I have a group of 8 friends. 8. There's 8 of them. Mm-hmm. And I'm the 9th, right? That's it, right? 4 of them, I'm the 4th in each I'm the fifth in one and the fourth in the other, right? Whatever. 3 of them, Kevin, JC, and Willie Durruti, all play with me at Matter.
Okay.
And then it's Danny Zardone, Zach Collins, Michael White, and Corey Durastazzi. All of them played with me on the Elite, on every travel team that I ever played on since we were 8 years old till we graduated high school.
Right.
So literally my best friends.
And that's what you carry.
Literally were on my team.
Yeah, like your teammates, this is your social life. These are the guys that you're gonna ride or die with for the next 20, 30, 40 years of your life.
Family.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is family. And everybody else in high school that you just that you see and you socialize with and you hang out with in high school, yeah, you're friends with them or whatever. You still communicate with them every now and then, but they're not. It's a different connection.
Yeah.
You know, I personally have one that I didn't play. That was a basketball player, and he's like my brother. But that's the only one. All the other ones were baseball players. So that's what I tell parents, and then I go even further and I ask the parents, how many of your son's friends who are not his teammates do you know? And they're like, none. Like they don't know any of his friends that aren't his teammates.
Yeah.
They don't hang out with the parents of any of his friends that aren't his teammates. So like your social life is your baseball team. The girls and things like that, like there's ways around that.
Nah, it's 2023, bro. They'll be alright.
They'll find their ways, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like those are the difficult things for parents, just because it's new. But I think there's a lot more openness to it, especially with the younger group that's coming in now, coming into high school, 13, 14 year old kids, which is perfect because that's like prime time to start getting this type of training and development, right? So yeah, those are the challenges that parents would see.
Oh man, no, I see a ton of value. Back obviously when we were coming up, you weren't as fortunate as I was. I had girls in my high school, but I guess you guys had them close enough. You had them close enough. They're right on the fence. Yeah, I heard you guys used to hang out on the fence, right? Like just hang out, lay on that fence.
Just move around and drive over and party.
Oh man, but I mean, yeah, man, you get to hang out with those guys all day long. It's still cool, bro. It's still awesome. Like, and then again, like you said, bro, my parents hang out with your parents, and you're just hanging. It's the same. Right. It's the same exact dynamic, and take away the waste of time.
Correct.
Right. Which I'm not saying school is always a waste of time, but.
No. But there's wasted time
in between the quality time, right? Which again, you talk about it. It's the process, bro.
Correct.
If you continue to put yourself in the process to continue to make strides to get better, you're gonna get better.
Right.
If you make steps and processes to go have the distractions that we had, you have another road to go on. But if you just eliminate that and start saying, hey, this is where I'm gonna go, boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Like you have those like you have those things that we started talking, the lanes to keep you in there and keep you going towards your goal. Right. So
like if you're serious about baseball in your career and as a parent you think that your son has a chance and he's good and this and that, whatever, and he wants to pursue the game and the career, like IMG is the gold standard in this model, right?
Is that do they have a similar model?
Yeah, I mean they have an actual brick and mortar school where kids go to, but there is a virtual aspect to it, and you know obviously they've grown to a unbelievable size.
A little bit of different funding on the IMG side, right? Just a little bit, just not a big deal.
We're just a little bit less than
just a little bit. Gotcha.
But yeah, like not everybody can go to IMG.
Yeah.
Like my parents were like this, just getting into Columbus, 20 years ago.
Hey, but IMG's also in the middle of nowhere, bro. So not as.
I mean,
I'd say Miami's a better sale.
Look, I agree. There's no question. No question. But yeah, like, look, it's if you have access to this kind of information. Do you know who Paul DiPodesta is?
No, I do not.
Paul DiPodesta was, you saw Moneyball.
Of course, man.
Jonah Hill?
Yeah.
Jonah Hill was Paul DiPodesta. That was Billy Bean's right hand man.
The number guy.
The numbers guy behind Moneyball. Paul DiPodesta had the pleasure of working with him with the Mets. When I first got with the Mets, he was our vice president of player development and scouting. So extremely bright dude, and an extremely cool dude. Super
Really?
cool. Yeah, super cool.
He wasn't nerdy like Jonah in the movie.
No, and he's like skinny. He's
Really?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, like in good shape and very good shape. Paul now is with the Cleveland Browns. And he's like, he's a VP with the Browns now, with the Cleveland Browns. So this guy's
brain,
unbelievably intelligent. But he said one thing that it resonated with me years ago, and I've carried it with me ever since. And he said, if we hadn't been doing something a certain way for so long, would we still do it that way? You know what I mean? So like, if we haven't been doing high school baseball this way for so long, and we had to start over, blow up high school baseball, start over completely, would we still do it the way we've been doing it for the last 40 years, 50 years? Damn. We change a few things, right? So what's stopping us from changing now? Like, we have so much more information that can help us do it better. Why won't we start doing it now? You know, guys at these other academies, they started in 2014 and kept doing it, and it's growing. Soccer's been doing this for decades. Soccer's been doing this for a long time. All those people that you see in the Olympics, ice skating, like track and field, all of that, they all went to these specialized academies.
Gymnasts, bro.
Yeah, gymnasts. They go to these specialized academies so that they can focus on their gymnast career and all
tennis too, yeah.
Right, tennis. And that's how IMG started with tennis. It was a tennis academy.
Yeah.
So like, this academy model has been around for a really long time, and it's just starting to get into baseball. So it's going to take a little while for people to get used to it, but I think they'll see the benefits, and especially with what we're going to be doing in TNXL Miami, I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to really cause some serious change in baseball.
Talk to me about, I know we hit on it earlier, but obviously yourself having such a great career in baseball already, and then another guy that's had an amazing career like Murph. Like, what is it to be able to, I mean, how awesome is it to be able to sit with a parent and say, like, hey, like, you have a person that has been in scouting and baseball for 10 plus years, and then you have the other coach, one of the other coaches is a Division I coach that has been very, very ultra successful kid that's in the major leagues as well. Like, I mean, what does that mean to you to have a staff and, I mean, Murph like that with you?
Yeah, having Murph's support is amazing. Like, he's been around for so long. He's got a tremendous resume, like tremendous background. Coached a ton of big leaguers. He started travel ball years ago, like FTV and all that stuff. Kind of was born through him, in a sense. Like,
he lost to me just in case 2 out of 3 when they were at Alabama State, just in case he was wondering.
Okay.
Easy games too, bro.
Friendly reminder.
Yeah. We gave him a game just so they weren't upset. Go ahead. Sorry, I had to get that in.
But yeah, like, this model doesn't work unless you have the right people in place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the right people and the right systems in place, and the right processes. You need the right people to build the right processes and systems. I think between me, Merv, and the rest of the staff that we're putting together, I think we're going to be able to build just an elite process and be able to really deliver just the best version of player development for these kids that's going to be available to them in Miami.
Could you have believed that when you were a kid growing up in Miami, like, your whole life would have been the way that it's planned out? Like, could you have wrote it this way?
No, God, no. I never, if I could change one thing when I was a kid and when I say kid, I mean like a teenager in high school, I'd be more curious. I'd be more curious. I'd try to figure things out, the way things operate more. Like, in high school, it wasn't because I wasn't a good player, but I didn't know anything about the draft. I knew nothing about the draft. And I had John Jay on my team. I played with John Jay. I was a year older than John Jay.
Yeah.
So I had draft eligible, like draftable players on my team. And I never inquired about it. I never hey, what's the draft? Like, what do I got to do to get drafted? I didn't even do it in college. I didn't even, the draft and professional baseball weren't even on my mind. It was just like, I'm playing baseball, and I was always living in the present, and I wasn't curious about
what was to come.
What was to come and how things operate and what I needed to do to get better. And what I needed to do to put myself in a better position for certain things and whatnot. I knew I needed to work hard, but I was just doing what my coaches told me to do. And I knew that I needed to go and spend extra time hitting in the cages, so I would go ahead in the cages. But I didn't know what I needed to work on specifically. So I didn't know the processes behind a lot of things, which now that I'm extremely curious about everything. Like, you showed me this building that we're in, and like my mind goes to like the processes of what it takes to run a building like this, and you know, when you go to an airport, I always think about the operations and how complicated it is to maneuver all these damn planes and all these gates and stuff. Like my mind works that way now, and I'm curious about just different things, random things. I wish I was more curious about baseball when I was in high school, and I could have envisioned.
No, it's perfect. Oh, it doesn't matter. Good.
I could have probably envisioned this a little more if I was more curious.
If you're curious how to run a building, she's working here at 7 o'clock at night. So she's being all this. That's the owner of the building right there. So no, yeah, man. It's. I think it's something that maybe needs to be spoken about more too, right? Like I don't think that was something that was spoken about as much maybe when you were a kid than it is now. And like luckily we have people like you now to be able to speak those things and talk about it and actually let people know like, hey, this is how it is. Like this is the steps that you need to take. Like you kind of this. It feels like we're trying to sell it, but it's so true, bro. Like you're actually gonna like plan out those steps for these kids to be able to have that, like have that knowledge, have that base at 14 years old, not at 30.
Right.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna know that early on and have the ability to make that choice.
Right.
Right.
I mean, if a scout, a 10-year scout, or a 20+ year D1 head coach told you, hey, look, these are the things that you need to get better at in order to play Division I college baseball. When you were 14 years old, what would you do? You
go do it, bro.
Go do it. You go crazy. You'd be a much better player than you would be if you didn't have that information. So like that's the kind of information that we're offering these guys, and they get it. They get it to a certain extent.
Of course,
but it's coming from a different messenger now, and it's coming from a program that's coming directly from Major League Baseball, like the Mecca. Like this is where it's at. This is what the best are doing, and we're offering it to you at 13, 14 years old now. Which is wild. Like it's crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? Like
wow,
this was born. This whole idea for me specifically was born out of just watching high school baseball in South Florida, and you've seen it.
Yeah,
it's not the same anymore. And you go to a game and everybody kind of talks about it. All the old heads in Dade County baseball, like they're like, man, baseball's just not the same anymore, whatever. And like, well, what can we do to bring it back? What can we do? You know what I'm saying? Are we just gonna sit here and talk about how it's not the same?
Let's bring it back. Yeah.
And that's that's where I'm at. Like I'm finally in a position where I can give my knowledge back. And I feel like I have valuable knowledge to give back to the community and make the baseball community and the fraternity a little bit stronger, a little bit better, all the way across the board. Because we're not only going to make ourselves better, but I think we're going to help high school baseball in general, just in general competition, by raising the bar a little bit.
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to do.
You guys are doing it, bro. You guys are doing it. That is, it's absolutely amazing. Last thing I want to ask you, I'm sorry, are you good on time? You're good on time? All right, cool, perfect. We've been going for an hour and a half already, but it goes pretty quick.
Yeah.
Tell me about, there's a kid that you were obviously involved in drafting, and I've gotten to meet him, and he's just such an amazing kid. Like, talk to me a little bit about Mark Vientos, because I think that's a person that people maybe knew, maybe didn't know, but like it's gotten to a point where he's still in AAA. He's down in AAA again, and just playing like slow pitch softball. He's playing in AAA right now.
Yeah.
But
he just hit another home run.
Yeah, he might hit 2 Yeah, I guarantee he probably hit another home run, and his average went down probably from 380 or whatever he's hitting. But can you talk to me about what you saw, and just so people get kind of the mindset of like the scouting mindset? I want to dig into like what you saw such at an early age from him that maybe showed that he could do what he's doing now, because he wasn't hitting the ball as far as he was then, right? So
so Mark, I loved Mark. He was obviously we drafted him in the second round, and that's not a me draft. That is a complete team draft. Like they're my scouting director, assistant scouting director. They're the ones that pull the cards, and it was a complete group decision. I was just there for the ride. I was like, yes, take him. Please do it. But yeah, I got to know Mark really well because I targeted him early in the summer. I was like, dude, that swing, it was like, for me, as a hitting guy, you gravitate towards those type of things, those swings that you like. And when I saw that swing, I was like, ah, it's pretty, man. It was like poetry in motion.
Soft,
easy, pretty. He did it so easy, and it was like, it was pure and natural, like he was born to hit. And so he goes his senior year, and I got to know the family really well. I had to, we knew we'd have to pick him really high in the draft. So I had to, do a lot of work on the kid, on the family, and the background and everything. He had transfer schools, so you got to get background information on that.
Where was he before?
At Flanagan. He was at Flanagan High School.
He went to Heritage.
And then he went to Heritage.
Yeah. I guess that wasn't a big deal. You know why he was going over there.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You just go see the American Heritage and see.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he goes over to American Heritage, and I did a lot of work, and I watched him. And there were questions because American Heritage isn't a really big part. Mm-hmm. He only hit one home run his high school senior year.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was one home run, and I think I was the only one in our department, in our scouting department, that had him as like a hit over power guy. So I thought he was going to be a hitter with power, not a power hitter with like an okay hit to him. Right? Everybody else kind of saw power, and I was like, I just think this swing works so well. Like, there's a hitter in here, a pure hitter in here, and he didn't swing and miss much in high school. Mm-hmm. Like, he didn't chase. He had play discipline. So I thought he was really gonna hit, and then just maybe be like a 15, 20 home run guy in the major leagues. Yeah. Now obviously we see what he's done in the past. Like, he hits balls. Like, it's Pete Alonso type power.
Yeah, bro.
Monstrous home runs that he hits. When you see him on video, it's like, wow.
And to right field, right center.
I watched him hit BP in spring training, like about a week before spring training. Uh-huh. He went up early, and I went to see him and Brett Beatty hit BP, and he was like getting jammed and hitting him out to right field. It's like, Mark, come on, dude. Like, what are you doing, man?
I think he does it on purpose, though, bro. Yeah. BP, he's literally like getting jammed and just choo.
It's special. It's special kind of power. It's like majestic home runs that he hits, and now he's hitting 380 now. So this is what I envisioned a little bit, but I'm so happy for him. Like, the kid, he was one of the youngest players in the draft that year. He didn't turn 18 until December after we drafted him. Yeah, so he was extremely young, and that was one of the big factors in taking him. And it took him a little while to mature, and just like normal growing pains and whatnot. Yeah. But God, when he figured it out, he started seeing other guys that were in his draft class or friends of his getting more recognition, and some of them getting to the big leagues, and some of them getting traded. And these are buddies of his, and they're getting all the attention. They're getting the top 100 list, and he's not in them. Man, I saw something change in him, because I stay in touch with him honestly. In the off season, we talk every now and then and whatnot, and I'd go visit him and just see him work, and man, there was a different look in his eye in these last 2 off seasons, and it was like, this guy's gonna do it. And when he figured it out, man, the results, you're seeing him right now, the proof's in the pudding. So hopefully he'll be out there real soon. But last year I got to see his first big league game. He was here in Miami.
Oh man, that's sick.
Yeah, so I went and sat with the family and all that. I took my family, had my nephew take a picture with him in the dugout.
Oh man.
It was a really cool moment, man. Mark's a great kid. He's worked so hard to get to where he's at, and he's got a bright future ahead of him.
No, that's gonna be sick. I'm gonna get him on here in the off season. We'll go down there and get him on. And dude, you guys, was he on the same team as Tristan in high school?
They were on the same team, but he was older than Tristan.
Oh, he was a year older.
Yeah.
Damn, bro, I can't even imagine. That's a nasty team, bro.
Yeah. Tristan was, he raked as a junior. He was, oh my God, he was good. But yeah, they were really good. They had some other players that got drafted too. Like, there was an outfielder that got drafted in the 11th round that year, I think. The American Heritage was stacked back then, and they had the record.
Yeah, they do all right.
Yeah, they do okay.
They had this kid, bro, in like 13. That guy sucked. He didn't hit very good. He sucked over there. Collins? Last name Collins? Sorry, terrible.
I heard of that.
But yeah, he got lucky in college a few times.
I missed you guys. I didn't get to see you guys in high school because I was scouting up here in Central Florida.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I talk about it all the time. They put him to hit first like to try to get more pitch. Like,
Yeah.
he never did bad. He just walked every at bat. Like,
Right.
you know him, bro. He won't swing at a bad pitch. So he just stood there and just.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget Rafi that drafted me. I was at UM watching a game and Rafi goes to me like, "Yo, what's up with your boy, bro?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Zach." He goes, "I go over there and he just sits there and takes every pitch, bro. He doesn't swing." I goes, "He doing bad?" I said, "No, he's not doing bad. He just doesn't swing the bat."
Right.
And I'm like, "Well, what do you expect? If you don't throw him a strike, he's not gonna hit." So he had a bad time in high school because he never hit. He didn't do anything. He just sat there. And he did okay in college.
Yeah, he did all right. He's doing all right for himself now.
Yeah, but hey, man, thank you so much, bro. This was a blast, bro. This was awesome.
This is really cool, man. Like I've never interacted with a guy that I not drafted, but scouted.
I thought you were gonna draft me, bro.
I was on you, bro. We were on you.
I thought so, bro.
We were on it, dude. We were on it, and I pushed. I wanted you in orange and blue, man.
Damn, that would have been sick,
It
bro.
would have been dope, yeah. But I remember. I gotta say this story.
Go ahead.
It was the walk off against Louisville, dude. I remember standing on the side there by the Louisville dugout, and I texted you after this game.
I remember the video. You sent me the video of me running home. I know.
I sent you the video, and I remember. I think it came out like in Miami Herald tweet or something. There was a video that you hit the home run off birdie, throwing 90 something. It was a walk off grand slam, right?
Yeah.
Walk off grand slam, throwing 97 or whatever he was throwing that night. And right when you hit it was like a beautiful pinch up. You had a majestic pinch up, like unbelievable pinch up.
Thank you, bro.
So right when you hit it, there was a camera angle that had me in the background. So it was like from behind you. So it had me in the background, and right when you hit it, there was another scout standing next to me. I can't remember who it was. And so I'm watching you over here, and you hit it, and I go like this, and all of a sudden I look back and I go, "Look at the pin job!" And you see me pointing back, "Look at the pin job!" Like this.
Bro, I think I have that video.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my gosh, dude! You're like, look.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
beautiful.
sick.
You did the spin and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember it, bro. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Oh man, those are good times,
It
bro.
was, man. No, going to you like, you were talking with Romy about the fraternity and whatever. Baseball, like you guys got that at Miami the same way I have at Columbus.
Yeah, we're lucky.
You were talking about John Jay. Like I talk to John Jay all the time. Like John Jay's
You talk to everybody all the time. I don't know how he does it, bro.
But I know you guys were talking about this too. But like the phrase "one of the best humans on the planet" gets thrown around a lot. This one deserves it. This guy should win a Nobel Prize just for being a human being. Like
That's it.
my goodness, what a great dude, bro.
Dude,
what a great dude.
Why? What is it, bro? I don't
know.
I'm so we're supposed to have him on. We've been pushing it back on purpose, like that. But like, why is he like that, bro?
I don't know. He's so good. He was like that in high school too, man.
Really?
Oh my God, what a fantastic kid. I don't know if we even had stats in 2002 when I graduated high school, but he probably hit like 869 or something.
Yeah, and he was a better person than Clay.
Oh,
still.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, what an amazing human being, dude.
Yeah.
Great dude.
Nah, he's a gold. I mean, bro, to me, like, there's literally nothing bad. Like, nobody could tell me anything bad about that guy ever, and I wouldn't believe it.
Right.
If somebody did, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know if you. Yeah, you probably don't know him that well, bro. Yeah, you're lying. Like, no, he is one of a kind, bro. He's one of a kind and so attentive too, because I'll tell you a quick story. Like I got hurt in it was 17 or 18, second or third year playing, and I get to Arizona by myself. We didn't have an ACL team at the time, so I'm by myself in a hotel and taking the shuttle from the hotel in 115 heat at 7 in the morning, go to the field. All I could do was therapy, a little bit of hitting, a little bit of this, and go right back to the hotel.
Right.
And he gets traded to the Diamondbacks. And bro, I didn't call nobody, tell nobody, nothing. I get a call from him, and it was GM from UM that had told him that I was in Arizona, and he goes, "Yo, you're here?" I go, "Yeah." Bro, this is 10-year big leaguer John Jay. Mind you, we were boys before that already, but still, bro, like it's it's like no shot. Like, bro, he goes, yo, come to my apartment. I just got traded here. He's living in Yelich's apartment at the time. And he's renting the apartment from Yelich that Yelich owned there in Scottsdale. And he's like, bro, come stay with me.
Yeah.
Like, hey, and you have a car now too. Like, I'm leaving on the road anyways all the time. Like, here's it. Like that.
It's unbelievable, man.
No question. Yo, pick me up at the stadium whenever. When I land, I'll text you. Come pick me up. I went from having no car, no nothing, to being in a spot with John Jay with a car, with everything. Like, it was unbelievable. Just because, bro.
You're right.
Just because.
Right.
That's literally it. Just because.
Right.
And I'm like, why?
You're trying to poke holes in this, man. You just can't.
Yeah, there can't be. But
what's the angle here, dude?
It's him, bro. He's unbelievable, man.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, dude, it's unreal. But dude, we gotta do this again, bro. This is awesome,
man.
We'll go to the school, we'll go to practice or something, and we'll do some videos there and interviews there to talk to the kids. That'll be super sick.
I would love that, man. I'd love to do. Me and Jay always talk about doing like a high school reunion type thing. Oh fuck, man! I would love to do something like that.
That'd be sick too.
Yeah,
that'd be sick.
Yeah, but man, this is great, dude. It's really cool to speak to a kid. I want to like flip the script here one day. And
we'll
do it reverse. I want to get your perspective on something.
Of course, bro. Of course. We'll do it, bro. We'll do it. I feel like there were so many things that I saw then that now I see it and I'm like, holy shoot, man. Like, why did that? It was all good. I loved it. It was a great experience. But it's like, man, I can't believe like I had the balls to do that or do this or do that. So it's cool, bro. It's a cool dynamic. We'll do it. We'll sit down and do it again.
Yeah, it'd be cool, man. I always wonder like what you guys think about us. And, you get to see, we don't always get to see as the scouts. We don't always get to see the human side of it. I think we sit down for an interview that we get 30 minutes. And it's like
that we're prepared for,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
We're like prepped up for it.
Yeah, be the best you can right here.
Right, but this is like the most I've got to know personally a guy that I scouted, except for like guys that I drafted.
Yeah,
but it's pretty cool. And I know you told you and Romy were talking about like not having a field for off-season guys.
Yes, bro.
We'll have something. Dang. The vision that I'm manifesting with TNXL Miami, there'll be something coming soon. So.
Bro, how frustrating! You don't understand how frustrating it is. Luckily, I went to and Murph was always great too, allowing us to cross the little, go down to the other school around there, hang out at FIU. But it was other than that, bro. Like, it's tough. Like Nestor, bro. Like Nestor got thrown out of freaking. I think I don't know what park it was, but a park in Hialeah. Like Nestor doesn't have a bullpen, a place to throw a bullpen.
That's wild. That's insane. That's criminal, is what it is.
Like
it's criminal.
And if I was the mayor of Hialeah, and I saw that tweet, I'd go build him a bullpen and call it Nestor Cortez. He doesn't have to donate nothing. It's dirt and 2x4s.
Exactly. Yeah.
And say this is Nestor Cortez Mound.
Yes.
In Hialeah. Sorry, nobody could use it, but come and take pictures here if you want.
Right.
But the fact that like we don't have places to throw bullpens.
Right.
Okay, maybe not hit on the damn field, but throw a bullpen.
Yeah, but the field that we're using in Miami, my parents live right down the street. Literally right down the street from it. You know what field it is, right? Right next to Swim Kings?
Or 10 a.m. You're talking about 10 a.m.
You know where Sluggers is?
Yes, of course.
The field that's right next to it.
Yep.
That field, I grew up in Miami Park. I played Miami Park since I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
That field, for the last 15 years, I drive by it all the damn time. It's always empty all day, every day, locked up and empty, never used. And I always thought, man, why is this field just going to waste here, man? Nobody's using this thing. What can be done here? So, now we're going to put it to use. We're going to fix it. It'll take some time, but that's going to be a really beautiful field when we're done with it. And it's going to be open to everybody, man. Like, we're going to be able to get you, I don't know, if you want to come out for fun.
Well, I can still swing it. I can hit some BP at 5 o'clock. Don't change, I can do some 5 o'clock.
But Romy, anybody, whoever wants to come out there, we'll be open to bringing everybody in. So you guys have a place, man, because it's not cool that you don't have that access. It's crazy.
It's nuts, man.
I didn't even think of it until you guys said it in the podcast.
Yeah, man, it's hard. And again, like even places like UM and FIU, they're using the field too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's only so much you can do there.
Right.
And having that ability to do that is, I feel like, simple.
Right.
Like it's not.
It shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah, like it's like, bro, you have all these people in this city, all of them.
Right.
Like, man, like, you know what I'm saying? Like all these guys,
Miami, dude.
and there's nowhere to hit for a pro guy to hit.
Right. That's wild. That's wild.
Or somebody's not opening the gates to a public park to have them hit there.
Right.
Like put a freaking off-duty cop there to stop kids from coming. But that'd be sick.
Sure.
You imagine, man? That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
100%, dude.
Oh man, but yo,
Some
this is awesome, bro. We'll do it again. We'll do it again.
I love it, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for